So it was the Hawks who won this year's NBA draft lottery, and they will have the top pick in the draft for the first time since 1975. And boy, do they need it. Even in a class where there are a lot of question marks about the overall strength and level of talent in general, there are sure to be some diamonds hidden in the rough. So we're going to talk about the top 15 prospects that I think are going to be taken off the board first, starting with Alex Sarr. Sarr is a 7-foot big man with a lot of skills. He played professionally for the first time in Australia this year and averaged 33% from deep and nearly a double-double and 3 blocks per 36 minutes of action. He fits the Hawks very well. He's a mobile big who can take up a lot of space and cover a ton of ground on the defensive end. But this dude is a very skilled scorer, and he has an insane amount of potential in what he can do with the basketball. And I'm very excited to see where Alex Sarr goes in his NBA career, because this is an athletic 7-foot guy with skills. He can put it on the deck. He can score a lot of different ways. He's crafty around the rim, and he's also got the ability to counter and get his shot off once you stop him. And that is a deadly combination. I think this is pretty much a no-brainer for the Hawks right here because, like I said, the defensive impact is going to be the first big thing that is immediate. He's going to be able to help Trae Young and DeJounte Murray be more aggressive on ball defense. Now, I want to make this clear. He's not Wemby. He moves very good. He's very athletic, and it's impressive to watch. But there's definitely a difference, and I just want to make it clear. He's not the same player. It's going to be great to watch those two. I hope we have battles between them. But like I said, I'm just very excited to see what Alex Sarr can do with his NBA career. At number 2, I have another French professional player. Zaccharie Risacher is a very talented floor spacing wing. He's a very intriguing prospect, mostly because of his ability to catch and shoot with consistency, just firing it up over the top. He gets it off quickly, and at 6'9", you're going to have a tough time blocking him. He's good enough right now to be effective in the same ways that Michael Porter Jr. is, and you're able to run the offense through him at times because, as you can see, he is able to put defenders into what I like to call the pit of despair. Risacher has shown the ability to score on all 3 levels, and I absolutely think that that's going to continue to be the case when he's drafted. He's a great transition player because he's got a natural ability to spot up, but he also knows where to look for vulnerable positions, and slashing is something that he does very well. With that being said, he needs to put on some strength and figure out how to create his own shot more often. He's not going to be a guy who I think lights it up in the lane or tends to meet you and punch it at the summit because of his strength and because of the fact that he isn't a great independent offensive initiator. With that being said, his shooting is out of this world. 56% in Euro Cup this year over the course of 17 games, despite taking lots of difficult shots. And defensively, he's going to have an impact. I would say he's deceptively fast because of the fact that he's not going to beat you off the dribble with that first step. But he does have great hands and awareness on that end, and he can recover very well. Number 3 is where things get a bit interesting for me. I have Cody Williams, and now there's no clear guy here. The top 2 picks are pretty much set in stone, but I picked Cody Williams in this spot because in a semi-mediocre draft, this is a guy with huge upside, mostly on the offensive end. I was very impressed with his offensive skill set, more specifically his shot creation and his ability to finish in a lot of different dynamic ways around the rim. He's a very skilled finisher in the lane. And his comparison is obvious. It's his brother, J-Dub from Oklahoma City. These two are very similar players. They play very similar games, and I see a lot of overlap between them, which is what excites me. Cody has all the tools to be effective at the NBA level. He's got size, 6'8", shot the ball at over 40% from three-point range in his first season at Colorado last year. And at just 19, he has a lot of potential upside. The only thing that kind of gets him into trouble from time to time is his indecision with the basketball. He just seems to lack that killer instinct that we've seen his brother come to really develop and embellish in Oklahoma City this year with all the barking that he's doing out there. But defensively, I would say that his length and his awareness kind of makes up for non-blinding speed and athleticism, and I don't see him having an issue holding his own on that end. Up next, we have Matas Buzelis, who declined offers from basically every school in the country to go play for the G League Ignite last year, and he's another three-point shooting wing with a ton of offensive tools. This is a guy who can be plug and played on a good team right now and make an impact. But I also think that his combination of length and playmaking, which are second to none in this draft class, gives him the potential to have an entire offense set up around him when he becomes the true best version of himself. You can see here that he has no problem getting past G League defenders. He's very good at attacking different angles, and at 6'10", he's a walking paint touch. He's shown the ability to score off balance, and he seemingly is not uncomfortable doing anything on the court. The only real question mark is his three-point shooting, which took a dip in the G League last year, but these are very, very high-pressure shots where every single shot that you take is going to affect your draft stock. And I'm not too worried about him making the adjustment to the three-point line in the NBA because he shot up over 40% during his final series in high school. His footwork is very good for this point in his career, and one thing I will be watching for is his ability to make an impact as a help side defender, because last year in the G League, he was very good at anticipating and being in the lane to make plays and get guys at the rim when they're on the opposite side, but I just don't know how transferable that skill is going to be when the court is more spaced in the NBA and he's more liable to get burned if he leaves his matchup on the perimeter. Last year, it was 2 overtime elite guys that went with the 4th and 5th picks, and this year I think it'll similarly be 2 G League Ignite teammates because Holland is another highly athletic and versatile wing. He has a very, very quick first step off the dribble. He stays low to the ground, keeps the ball close to his chest, and then just explodes off the court to attack you at the rim. He reminds me of an oversized Bradley Beal. At 6'8", 200 pounds, he's a nightmare matchup coming downhill. I've also seen him compared to R.J. Barrett. He's definitely similar to a young Aaron Gordon because he will have to develop his shooting ability. If he wants to make it in this league, he will have no choice. He can score it off the dribble. In the mid-range, he's not a liability, but he's not a natural scorer. If a team wants a natural scorer at this spot, they might want to draft Reed Sheppard or Rob Dillingham. But I think Ron Holland's the next best prospect because he is going to make an impact defensively. He can guard multiple positions. And he's just very, very athletic, very quick, and he can do a lot of different things that other guys simply can't. Good anticipation and awareness skills on the other end led to 4 stocks a night. But like I said, the big thing with him is going to be that shooting capability. At the number 6 spot, I have a guy who possibly has the most hype surrounding him entering this draft. Tidjane Salaun is another French professional basketball player. He played his first full season in the LNB Pro A this year, which is France's premier professional basketball league, and averaged 9 points, 4 rebounds on 33% from deep. This is a 6'9", 212-pound kid with a 7-foot wingspan, and he can shoot the 3. He's a stretch 4, lob threat over top, and mobile on the other end. The thing that excites me the most about him is his driving potential. He's very athletic, very long, but he needs to improve his decision-making and his finishing around the rim. If he adds that layer to his game, it's going to be very impressive to watch him play. Right now, he's much more effective off the ball. He is natural, very natural in his ability to spot up. It's kind of interesting to see the way he moves because it is like a guard. He's been a shooter his whole life. He comes from a basketball family. His mother and father both played professionally, and his sister is currently playing now. So this is a guy who came from Europe. He's going to be humble and professional in his approach. He's been around the game his entire life. My best comp for him is another guy in this draft, and I know it's probably not the best comp, but he plays a lot like Zaccharie Risacher, and I think that there's a lot of overlap in their games. Tidjane has a little bit more flair in him. I think he's going to be a little bit more like Obi Toppin in a sense, but they do remind me of each other. So let's talk about Reed Sheppard. He is an elite shooter and a very impactful playmaker. He's undersized for a 2 and not really a true point guard, but that doesn't stop him from attacking the rim relentlessly. He doesn't put himself in bad spots, and he's very intentional, very controlled when he has the ball, and he reminds me of Jalen Brunson in that sense. He also just knocks down shots. He shot 53% from the field in his freshman year at Kentucky and knocked in 52% of his 3-point shots. He doesn't turn it over. He's very fun to watch play because he just reminds me of white guys who can shoot and play hard. TJ McConnell, Austin Reeves, Dante DiVincenzo, he just fits right into that mold. He's a great pair for a creative guard. We saw that in Kentucky last year alongside Rob Dillingham. And he also averaged 4 stocks a night, which is great for a guard. Obviously, making the transition to being a dependable NBA level defender is going to be probably one of the tougher things for him to do. But if he gets that settled, he is poised to have a long career in this league. At the number 8 spot, we have the 2024 Most Outstanding Player from the March Madness tournament, and that was Stephon Castle out of UConn. A very, very talented two-way player and a great on-ball defender. Slides his feet and sprints ahead to stay in front. He's active with his hands when his man is trying to pass or shoot over him, and he fights through the top of screens very well. Just relentless in his pursuit of the basketball. At 6'5", 210 pounds, he's an oversized guard who can defend multiple positions, and he's the exact same size as Lou Dort. Offensively, his tools are a bit unrefined, but he has the capabilities of being good. He can shoot the three, and he comes off screens very well. But at this point, you're definitely drafting his defense and his upside. If you've been waiting for Nikola Topic, you can stop holding your breath because I have him at number 9. This is a 6'6" Serbian point guard who nearly has the same name as one of the best players in the world. When I first heard of Nikola Topic, I was very excited, and then I watched the film. He attacks the rim very well. As you can see, he can score very quickly, and he's a great finisher in the lane. He's also a pick-and-roll nightmare because he takes care of the basketball, and he's a skilled passer when he gets 2 on the ball. He doesn't put himself into bad situations, and he doesn't turn it over very often. Another guy who's very intentional in his attacks. Now, what he needs to improve is on the defensive end. He has a lot of trouble staying in front of quicker guys, and then if he gets beat off the dribble, he is not quick to recover and get back in front. And I think that's really going to be a turnoff for a lot of teams. And I have him at number 9, but he could be lower because I really am skeptical about the transition happening for Nikola Topic. I just don't know if he's going to be strong enough and skilled enough to play at the same level in the NBA. I don't know if he's going to have the strength to necessarily compete with NBA-sized defenders and do the things that he's doing on the court in Europe, because in the NBA, you have to be able to do more than just shoot it, dribble it, and score it. And he can do all of those 3 things, but like I said, I just don't know if it's going to be enough for him to have a long career in this league. Moving on to number 10, we have Rob Dillingham out of Kentucky. The freshman guard averaged 15 points and 4 assists in his first year there last year and shot over 44% from deep. He is probably the best offensive player in this entire draft class. At 6'2", 175, he's a great playmaker and distributor, and he hits a lot of tough shots. 1.0 points per possession on the pick and roll this year, and that is very, very good. As you can see, he doesn't need much space to get his shot off. The only thing that concerns me a little bit is his size and going against smaller point guards in the SEC. Wade Taylor out of Texas A&M, Zaccharie Risacher out of Tennessee. These are guys who are under 6 foot and are definitely favorable matchups for Rob. I just don't know how often he's going to have that favorable matchup in the NBA and what it's going to look like when he doesn't. On the defensive end, there are some things to be concerned about as well, starting with the fact that he is undersized. And any team looking to draft Rob, as is the case with most of these guys, is going to have to work with him on getting up to the speed of the NBA game on the defensive end. At number 11, we have a guy who's shown continuous improvement throughout the last 4 or 5 years he's been on the college scene. Dalton Knecht started in JUCO, then went to Northern Colorado, and the success he had there led him to becoming a 23-year-old SEC Player of the Year for Tennessee last year, who shot over 40% from deep during the postseason and will provide an NBA team with an immediate spacing impact when he is drafted. He had a major load offensively at Tennessee last year, and he handled it with great efficiency. He's a good playmaker. He's got great ball handling and passing skills. The only thing that kind of worries me is his defensive downsides. His hands are active and he gets steals when he's in good positioning, but I just think he's going to have some difficulty fighting over screens on smaller guys, and I'm worried about his strength down low with bigger players. Grayson Allen and Chris Duarte, I think, are good comparisons for the way that he can score it off the ball, but I'm really excited to see what Dalton can do because, like I said, he's just continued to show improvement since we've seen him. Donovan Clingan averaged 21 and 12 in his sophomore season at UConn last year and is one of the top 2 centers in this draft. The other guy I have coming at number 14. But Clingan's a very smart and instinctual big, which makes him a great rim protector. At 7'3", 280 pounds, he's built for the NBA. He's ready to go in that frame. But what he's lacking is in foot speed. He's a non-switching big who's going to be confined to playing drop coverage most of the time he's out there, and you're going to have the right personnel to surround him if he's going to be able to make an impact. He has shown decent ability to rotate with the ball, but it's just he's not quick enough to defend at the same speed that the NBA game is played at, so he's going to be a step behind most of the time. He is an excellent rebounder. He's got great touch on around the rim, and he's shown the ability to play make out of the short roll. But this isn't a guy who's going to shoot the three. He only took 8 threes last year, and he needs to work on his ability to be a consistent threat in the low post. His footwork is slow, and he misses a lot of easy ones around the rim. You want to talk about NBA ready. Ja'Kobe Walter was somebody who I had my eyes on really early on in the season last year, and although he didn't have the best year at Baylor, he is definitely still a lock for this year's lottery, because if one thing is for sure when we wake up tomorrow morning, Ja'Kobe Walter is going to be ready to put pressure on somebody's defense. He is your prototypical 3-and-D prospect. At 6'4" with a 6'10" wingspan, he can take up a lot of space and put a lot of pressure on a smaller defender. He shot 34% from deep last year, but he took a lot of bad ones, and he's not going to stuff the assist numbers, but he is a solid playmaker and a switchable defender. He's a very high motor player. He's the first to the floor in almost any loose ball situation, and you can match him up against the opposing team's 1A. Every team is looking for an option like a Ja'Kobe Walter on their team. And what I like most about his offensive game is that he's got a very quick first step and he attacks the rim well, but his decision-making and his offensive sort of identity and intention are all things he needs to work on and develop. But the potential is there. I know I said the top 15 prospects were going to get covered in this video, but the lottery is only 14 picks, so this is going to be the last guy. And I could have went with a couple different guys in this spot. Jared McCain, Devin Carter, Zach Edey, Isaiah Collier, Carlton Carrington, and Terrence Shannon Jr. were all guys who I consider, but I went with Yves Missi because I think this is the second best center in this draft. A very athletic and versatile big who thrives in the paint. At 6'11", he's got a 6'2" wingspan, and he can do it on both ends. He's a downhill monster and a dynamic lob threat over the top, but I think he's going to take some time in the G League to develop his footwork and his scoring at the rim, because he needs another threat, and whether that is a three-point capability, being able to drive to the rim and ISO stuff like Zion we've seen do in New Orleans, or just score with his back to the basket, he needs another option. Because right now it's just lobs and putbacks, and even playing out of the mid-post would be an improvement to what we've seen up to this point. My decision to put Missi in the lottery mostly came on the basis of his defense and his defensive potential. My comparison for him is Jaren Jackson Jr. because he has the size and athleticism to be as impactful on that end.
To all the ladies in the place.